Hi everybody, it's Mrs. Dinkelman. Excuse me. And we're in the kind of moved on to the vector section of Unit 12. So a lot of what we're going to talk about is really similar, but we need to really know what a vector is. Just like we needed to know what parametric equations are, we need to know what vectors are. Now this is meant to be a self-guided tour, so I'm not going to go through and do all the examples here because it's just meant for you kind of to do independently. So in this first section, we're going to talk about just like what a vector is, what it looks like in graphing it, and what the notation looks like. One thing I might mention, and I'm just going to kind of scroll here and see where I find it. So these brackets here, I usually call those chevrons. So that's one indicator that you have a vector. And then a lot of times on like in a book or something, they will bold when it's a vector. So you can see here on number 1, bolded P and bolded Q. Well, we can't always do that. So instead, a lot of times what we will do, I'm just going to write it here, is we will label this as a P with kind of a, almost like a vector on top. That looks weird. It's like an arrow with only half of the arrow part. So P, and then you could write what P is equal to. So 1, 2 or something like that. Okay, so that's how we would label a vector there. I don't know, that's not what P is, but I was just writing something. Now it's not going to let me erase it. It's permanent. Okay, so and then another thing I will mention is at some point they start to talk about IJ notation. So this is another way to write vectors, is with I's and J's. That I is not the same as imaginary I like in algebra class. I tend to not like to write the IJ notation because, I don't know, it just feels like it's more confusing. So if you'd rather write it in the chevron notation, that's totally fine. So you have the option. Just know that when you look at them, you have to know, when you look at that form, you have to be able to read it. Okay, I think that might be it. I'm just going to scroll real quick, some operations and some more drawing and that kind of thing on the basics and where it might apply in some problems outside of that. So I'll stop the video for now. One thing I will mention before I go is in the appendix here, there's also some more, I'm not seeing it. Oh, there it is. So in Calc 2, oftentimes they have plenty of time to work some more on different vector information. So it's something you will need for Calc 3 to talk about, like the dot product and what it means, and the cross product and what it means. And there's more too, but that's the 2 things that I felt like I could add here to this book. That will help you if you're going into a Calc 3 class. So it's just some very basic problems, but to know that exists so that if you get to a Calc 3 class that you won't be totally lambasted. So go ahead and get to the assignment on the basics of vectors. Again, self-guided tour, and just check the solutions key so you can make sure you have things right and make sure you ask questions as you go through.